Welcome back to the Great Epic channel with myself, Captain Butch, and my wife and first mate, Jennifer. In this episode, we decided to have a nice little getaway aboard our 1972 Bristol Offshore Trawler for our 2-year wedding anniversary. The goal was to have some R&R on the hook at one of our favorite local anchorages, but just as boats do sometimes, things didn't go so smoothly. And we'll talk about that more in just a bit. First, let's do our engine room checks and fire things up to get ready for a beautiful weekend on the water.
Shoot, I broke it. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Voltmeter jumped up.
Voltmeter jump, baby. Motion in the ocean. Now go the second one. Where's our freaking deckhand?
Alright, go ahead and do that.
This guy. Happy anniversary, baby!
Happy anniversary!
We got married 2 years ago. Right over there on Aqua-Cultured.
And overtaken by a little sailboat.
And last year we were on the tail of the Dragon up in Georgia. Well, Tennessee, I guess. And this year we're taking the boat out.
How about that?
How about that? Time flies.
We had a wonderful cruise over to the Gulfport anchorage and everything was going great. Until all of a sudden, right when we were about to drop the hook, our port engine decided to accelerate to max RPM out of nowhere. Luckily, I quickly put the runaway engine into neutral to keep from losing control of the vessel, and I was able to slow the engine down slightly, but could not shut it down or use it, because if we were to engage the gear, it would have destroyed the transmission, so we had to negotiate many anchored vessels and crab pots and a fresh breeze on one engine. Damn it. Fuck. Alright, so we were pulling into the anchorage here, and I was just lining up for a good spot, and I went to lower the RPM, and all of a sudden the port side engine ran away, which means that the engine just kept going higher and higher and higher and higher revving, and it won't shut down. I had to go down the engine room and manually adjust the linkage so that it slowed the engine down a little bit, because it was just going to keep maxing out.
Let's explain to them that we were literally about to anchor in between 45 boats when it started accelerating, and a pontoon was going across us on the in front of the bow, and he runs down in the engine and it's just accelerating, and I'm standing there like, what do I do?
Yeah, the engine was just taking off.
Literally like right over there, and it's accelerating through this anchorage.
So I'm just getting to an area where there's no boats. We've got plenty of space so that I can just have Jennifer take over the helm, and I can go down there and see how to get control of that engine.
And there's crab pots everywhere, and the angle of the sun right here. So I'm a wee bit nervous about me just putzing around while he's still here. We'll see how it goes. One bad day.
There are a couple of causes for a runaway diesel. The worst is a seal failure, and your engine essentially fuels itself with its own oil until it catastrophically fails. And the other is a fuel injection malfunction. Luckily, it was the latter for us.
It's kind of hot seeing you in serious boat mode, babe. This is like emergency situation, but I've never seen that guy before. Crazy start to the anniversary.
Isn't it? Alright, hopefully we got a good snag. I think we might. Just need to check the GPS and make sure we hit 0. Line it up with the focal point there. Make sure we're not moving that way. 0.
Woo, doggy!
We're bouncing around a little bit.
It's grassing the engine room.
Alright, we got some quiet. Finally got the engine to shut down. So
Butch got the engine shut down. I made a charcuterie board during the pandemic.
oh boy. Yeah, so had a runaway engine. As soon as I decelerated the engine, it just started to take off.
In the middle of the anchorage.
Right when we're in the anchorage, it's blowing 10 to 15. So this boat has manual fuel cutoffs here and here, port and starboard. You want to just pull that up, and it closes the fuel valve or the fuel supply to the engine. It worked on the starboard side, but not the port side, which was the runaway side. And yeah, so I had to go down and manually engage that fuel shutoff. And so I've got to figure out why the engine ran off so we can get back to home port tomorrow without being towed. We don't want the tow of shame.
I think it's like a unplug it, plug it back in situation. Like I think tomorrow when we start it, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll reset itself.
Yeah, the runaway engine can definitely be unnerving. So you don't want it to happen in a critical time.
No.
So I'll try to figure out how to correct that issue so we're good for tomorrow, and I got to find out why the fuel shut off was not engaging. So
I'll film all of it so you guys can know what to do in case this happens.
Right, in case this happens to you, know where your fuel shutoffs are. But we're anchored now.
It's our 2-year wedding anniversary.
2-year wedding anniversary.
So we are gonna have our charcuterie board. We're gonna anchor out at in Gulfport, which we did once before, and I think we did a video on that a while back.
We did a little social media action on that, but
yeah, it's a beautiful spot. It's protected. We were either going to do Egmont or Emerson Point, but we just chose Gulfport because it's close to home, and yeah. Anyway, here we are.
Here we are.
We'll let you guys know what happens.
We're gonna do our best to just chill and enjoy ourselves.
And enjoy our floating condo.
That's right. Following an eventful afternoon, the breeze settled down along with the sun, and we had a very relaxing and enjoyable night on anchor. The Gulfport anchorage provides beautiful sunset and sunrise views. We were tempted to go ashore to enjoy some of the many eclectic bars, restaurants, and shops, but we opted to maintain our solitude. There's a nature preserve nearby called Clam Bayou, which is an excellent place to kayak and paddleboard. Of course, I had to welcome Jen back to the boat with a mimosa to celebrate our 2-year anniversary. Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh shit.
So the first time in my history of boating, I've requested a tow through Boat US. So the portside engine was the one we had the Runaway yesterday. We've been anchored overnight, obviously, in Gulfport, but had the Runaway on the port side, and I think the fuel governor is actually the issue. It looks like on the starboard side, they've already replaced it with a brand new one. This was before we bought the boat. Port side is still the original one. So that leads me to believe that that fuel governor needs to be rebuilt or replaced. And that explains why the fuel shutoff wasn't working either. I had to manually shut it off by hand. It still wouldn't shut off then until I shut the fuel line off from the fuel tank. So once it got to a point that it was starting to starve with fuel, I could shut it down the rest of the way. So we could go back on one engine on the starboard side, but it's going to be a busy day. This boat handles best when you have twin screws, and then we'd have to dock in a busy marina on a single engine, which could be done. But I'd rather just take advantage of having Boat US and paying for it every year since 2011, so might as well use it, and it's definitely worth it. Pay the $200 or and change or whatever it is a year, so you can get towed when you need to be towed. So we're just gonna wait. I just did the tow request through their app, and they immediately started texting me saying that the towboat captain has been dispatched in an ETA of 12:10. And right now it is 11:10, so in about an hour they'll be getting here and they'll hook us up, and it'll probably take close to 4 hours, I imagine, 3 to 4 hours to get back to St. Pete, and Jennifer and I will just be able to enjoy ourselves and not have to worry about things. So
drinking mimosas.
Yeah. So even though it's kind of the tow of shame, you know, it happens, and we just feel like that's what we want to do today. We're gonna take advantage of the hard-earned money and hard-paid money that we've been paying Boat US for so many years.
Oh, and also we went paddleboarding earlier today, and we saw a yellow-crowned heron stuck in fishing line, and it actually drowned because it was stuck at the bottom end of the mangroves, and when the tide comes up, it wasn't able to get out, and we went over to see if it was still alive to try and rescue it, and it wasn't. So if you are a fisherman, clean your lines up. I know it can be hard sometimes, but my God, it was just a horrific scene today. So
yeah, try to get the line off of the bird. If you see a bird in distress, take care of it, because they go back to the mangroves, gets tangled up in the mangroves, and then they just end up starving to death or drowning.
It was so sad.
Suffocating by the line getting wrapped around their neck.
And they're the most beautiful birds. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, it's
better.
Very sad.
Better.
Definitely do better. Captain Jason arrived to us promptly, and we went over the plan for the tow. We then hooked up the bridle to our bow. Jason eased us forward so that I could haul the anchor, and then we were on our way. I just had to make a couple of adjustments to the rudder to make sure we were going straight, and then Jason took care of the rest. I have to say it was quite nice to not have to worry about operating the boat for once. We could just sit back, relax, and take in the scenery. Also a bonus was that Jason took us on some shortcuts that we normally would not try, so it was great to figure out some new routes and get some different scenery. And amazingly, we were moving almost faster than we would have been normally cruising. Once we were back to the marina, we shifted to a hip tow arrangement so that Jason could ease us into our slip. Unfortunately, we didn't get any footage of this last little bit, but everything went great, and Captain Jason did a phenomenal job. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and if you're interested in finding out what actually went wrong with the engine and how we're fixing it, stay tuned because we'll be addressing it in a future episode. If you're enjoying this content, which we hope you are, please give us a like, subscribe, share with your friends. It really does help. And for those of you that have experienced the runaway engine before, we would love to hear your story in the comments below. How did it happen? What happened when the engine ran away? And how did you fix it? We'll see you next time.
You see?
All right, so what's going on?
Well, what happened here is, and you're at idle.
Yep.
Okay. So when you go to shut the motor off,